before I pull into my driveway, I have a challenge for you.
It doesn't involve any kind of aerobics or anything, does it?
Mental aerobics.
Okay.
You and John were talking about, you're pretty certain that what happens over there is really happening with deaths in the military. Now, I'm not there, so I don't know. However, and here's the challenge, just to think outside the box. And speaking of pay and pensions, have you heard of the never-ending stories about electrocuted soldiers?
Electrocuted soldiers?
Yes.
No, I don't know.
Okay, I'm taking notes here. Okay, so take a look at this article from stripes.com, which is the military's propaganda nonsense. And the headline is, Mom of Soldier Electrocuted in Base Shower Hails Supreme Court Ruling. And apparently it's like the big joke, it's not a joke, it's a sick joke, that most people in the military know that the military has had for decades faulty showers that electrocute people.
That's a 401, that's a 404 page not found.
Oh, really? Let me see. Wouldn't that be something if it's gone? Oh, it's gone. Okay, so let me work some of my magic here and see if I can find it.
Yeah, I base that on just direct personal observation.
Right. I understand. Mm-hmm. All right, so I just put in a new link for you. It's at a different address now. So let me read this real quick, if I may. Pittsburgh. The mother of a Pittsburgh area soldier electrocuted in his barrack shower at a U.S. Army base in Iraq 7 years ago says she's grateful the Supreme Court rejected 3 appeals by a military contractor seeking to stop the case and other lawsuits from going forward. The High Court offered no comment Tuesday in allowing 3 lawsuits against KBR over the electrocution in open-air burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan to proceed. Blah, blah, blah. The suit alleges a KBR unit was legally responsible for what it says was shoddy electrical work common in Iraqi-built structures taken over by the U.S. military. Mm-hmm. KBR disputes the claim. So here's my thought and the challenge. Is it possible that the people who die over there are people like you and me who are saying shit? Friendly fire, electrocutions in showers. Why would anyone get electrocuted accidentally in a shower?
I think I heard something about something similar to this. Maybe it was the same case. I don't know. But so they contracted out to Kellogg, Brown and Root to build barracks and do all that stuff, and everything they're doing over there is just. I've seen similar stuff to it, in the military and all that. It's like they just do such shit work, and it was hazardous that they had faulty wiring and stuff in this building, and it caused, people to be electrocuted and stuff. That's what they say, but they also had something with the water storage tanks. And the water was got highly contaminated, and a bunch of people got sick because they weren't constructed properly and stuff. And just cutting corners, maximizing the profit, just like every other freaking scam operation, And there's certainly that kind of stuff where I imagine with that war and all that stuff going on over there that they really, really just maximize the theft, as much as possible. And cut corners wherever possible. So those stories aren't hard for me to believe, based on some stuff I've seen. That is probably very common. Whether that was done Or, maybe somebody was offed and then that was the cover for it or something like that.
See, that to me is,
who knows?
Yeah, option number 2, what you just mentioned, is the way I look at it. Friendly fire, Pat Tillman, stuff like that.
Yeah, that stuff is super sketchy though, man, especially that Pat Tillman.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the dude really was a football player, but
I know he was a football player. I've seen video of it.
Yeah, but then because the Chris Kyle thing, I think is I think that guy was maybe. I'm pretty certain of it that he was some sort of an actor, and that whole thing was a set deal. I'm not so sure about the other guy, the Pat Tillman guy. I don't know if he was like a guy that really was disgusted with what he was seeing over there and really was going to speak out, and they offed him, because that's possible. I don't necessarily think every single thing is some sort of stage managed deal through and through. Like the Jessica Lynch thing, I think was
oh my God,
may have been a situation that had been taken advantage of.
Oh yeah,
and
way out of context.
Spun out into something. Yeah. The way it sounded, I don't know, because there's just stuff about that story that would make me think, like, why would they need to contrive something like that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like how it played out, because of, and then all the stuff surrounding it. So yeah, there's stuff that goes on, like sketchy stuff that comes out of that, the war propaganda and PR, of course. But yeah, I think the Chris Kyle one is a good example of a through and through stage managed one from beginning to end. Like everything about his story and everything is just, it can be folded into some part of the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Even his death, anti-gun, and all of that. Like, he was a crusader for using guns to help people with PTSD and therapy and stuff like that. And then he gets tragically shot and killed, and that's fodder for the anti-gun crowd. And like his whole entire life story is some kind of a propaganda piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then then you ask, like, okay, was he even a real person? Was he a sim maybe? But I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily. I don't think you'd have to invoke that. But I do think that he was a role player, an actor, and what he did or didn't do in Iraq, I don't know. I doubt he had 160 kills. I don't think. I think all that stuff is just legend.
Yeah.
Because you certainly can't believe anything out of the military. You just first should assume that it's a lie.
Right.
That's the safest bet, especially the military. And, but yeah, everything is fishy about that guy. But Pat Tillman, I don't know.
I'm posting in the notes Pat Tillman highlights where he played in Arizona, both in college. It looks like for Michigan State. I'm looking right now. I think it's Michigan State, and I think for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, they might have just really killed the guy, to shut him up, maybe. I don't know.
On my wife's side of the family, one of the family members went to Vietnam and did not come back. So, and I believe them. So obviously people die. But when you ask people who went to the wars, did you know anyone who died? At least the people I've spoken to, not many people did. Most people came back.
Yeah, I know my best friend in grade school, his dad was in Vietnam, killed in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, I'm trying to think of who else. I've met several people that have been in war, and that talk about it some, Like a lot of some people, like, you don't even want to go into any of it, This one guy I met hiking, he was some kind of special forces dude, I don't know, but he was an older guy that had been in Vietnam, like PT boats or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, like, so, like, you know, I was trying to ask him about some of that stuff, and he's like, yeah, he didn't even want to talk about it at all. I was trying to think of. Then I've met a couple of people from Iraq, young guys, and this one guy was telling me he just walked up. I was over at my buddy's house, and then he walked up from next door, and he was like this young dude, you know, from Fort Sill. I guess, you know, just come back from Afghanistan, I think he said. Mm-hmm. And he told me something. He said that yeah, because there was like a plane crash that was in the news that was over there right around that same time. Mm-hmm. And some kind of cargo plane or something that got shot down. And he was saying that yeah, that because that came up in the conversation. He says, yeah, that's happened like a lot, and then like most of the time it doesn't even get into the news or anything. He says that he knew of several more times where planes were shot down like that. And so, you know, you're not getting the truth one way or the other out of that area. Right. It's not coming out of there. Right. Yeah, so it's going to be skewed one way or the other. Either the downplay stuff that's happening, like death and destruction that's happening, or yeah, who knows? Because none of us are over there to see it. So, yeah, but based on you know, like one guy when I went to jail, he was in the cell with me, and he was back over from Iraq, and like he seemed like he was really just disturbed by it, you know. Mm-hmm. And he had been picked up for drunk driving. Like he said, yeah, when I came back here, that's all I want to do is get drunk. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I believe there's some shit happening there. I believe like a lot of the video that's come back over there, because you're gonna get video from over there because everybody's got a damn camera, you know. And how hard is it to get something on the internet, even if you're overseas, you know?
Well, that's part of my challenge, Chris. How come I've never in my life seen video of us by real people, real soldiers in Iraq killing people? Have you?
You haven't seen a lot of the stuff that's on YouTube and stuff like that?
No.
With yeah, I've seen a lot of that stuff.
Does it look real?
Like yeah, it looks totally real. I mean, like shooting at civilians and stuff. Like there's some footage like where it just looks like they're just civilians on the road, and they're pulling into this like little corner store, and then the Marines are filming it, and they're just like they just open fire on them and start laughing and shit.
And it looked real?
Yeah, it looked totally real. I mean, I don't. I mean, based on those guys I've talked to and stuff, man. They and my brother-in-law. Well, I guess he's my ex-brother-in-law now. They're divorced, but man, he seems like he's kind of just in a daze, like a lot of times, you know. Like mm-hmm. he was in Guantanamo, a Guantanamo guard or whatever, and. Yeah, I tried to hit him up for some information, and he told me a couple of things that, like, you know, he didn't seem like he wanted to talk too freely about it, but yeah, he's on all kinds of drugs and stuff now, and all that stuff. So yeah, I think there's some really fucked up shit going on over there. I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Based on that, I mean, of course I would probably take a position of just reserving judgment if I hadn't run on all these different people, you know, that I've spoken to directly. Yeah, war is a real thing, and they're over there just violating those people over there just in all kinds of different horrendous ways. There's probably a lot of shit you'll never even hear about. Yeah, that really goes on. Horrible things really happen, man. I'm totally convinced. I mean, just shit that you would just make you so sick, like you wouldn't believe it, that people that were born and raised here would do that kind of thing. But yeah, I believe, like, because the way I figure this, it's like talking to those cops on the phone and stuff like that. It's like
it came across as like their primary thing was like their ego had been hurt, but they didn't know how to communicate that other than just to like downplay everything I was saying and not even concede a point. And that's a narcissistic individual that's like, that's the impression I get with these police and stuff. That's really all they kind of care about. Like, and I think like, soldiers and stuff too, like they have this kind of like, conceit about them, like where they, they've drinking the Kool-Aid. The America's, the greatest country on earth, and everything we do is right. My country, right or wrong, and stuff like that. I've seen too much of it myself personally. It's just this mentality, like, and they will follow any order that they're given, and they have like little regard for morality. So I could see how that mentality can, if put into the right environment, can go just completely ape shit over the top, and you get just animalistic behavior. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, the stuff that is, I've been told is like, it's like, wow, that's so fucked up. But I can see that happening. I could see like that cop I was talking to on the phone, like him doing shit like that because of his mentality. Like he's not swayed by any appeals to reason. He wasn't swayed by, he clearly was not motivated by anything like about the law or anything like that. He just, he clearly just couldn't give a shit about that. It was plain to me as like he was, because he repeatedly said, there was no problem with what those officers did, like tasering the guy for jaywalking. Like he didn't see a problem with that whatsoever because the guy treaded on their ego. Like, they barked an order and he didn't obey quick enough. Like, it didn't matter that he didn't really do anything at all. It was that, he didn't obey their authority. And it's like, that's a psychotic individual. Like, what kind of shit would they do, if they were given just free reign off somewhere where they don't think anybody will ever find out about it? And normal people won't. They don't even want to hear about any kind of talk like that. Most people don't. They don't want to believe that stuff is happening. But I totally believe it's happening based on just talking to those people. Like they would, whatever, sky's the limit probably, and there's stuff too you can watch like on YouTube where there's some videos out there where these young dudes are talking about like shit that they did over there. Like, like this one guy, he's just talking about it like it's like he's telling a joke or something. Yeah, I got, like this 15-year-old girl and I hoard her out, like he pimped her out and made her have sex with like every guy. And then like he said that, at the end of the day, I mean, she was, so despondent and everything that she just hung herself, like she couldn't take it anymore. And he was just like, just nonchalant laughing about it. Just inhuman, horrible shit. Yeah, I believe it. I believe that happens because it's the egocentric mentality now where it's like, people, they don't have any regard for anything but their fucking ego, and to admit wrong or admit the army's wrong or admit that the war is bullshit and all that stuff. They want to go with it. They want to go through. They believe that they have that right to treat those people that way because they've already bought into the propaganda to dehumanize those people. So they think whatever I do to them, they deserve it because of what they did on 9/11. They want to believe all that bullshit to justify their egocentric, wishes to do that kind of bullshit to people. Yeah. I don't have a problem believing that. I've seen too much confirmation of that mentality there. I saw it when I was in the military too. It's like no respect, no regard for other nationalities. They're seen as subhuman because they're not American. Yeah, well, I mean, we're a sick fucking society, man. We live in a war society. We are a war economy. We're all centered around war. Every time I look at that paper, it's wall-to-wall war propaganda. Nobody has a problem with it. People that attend churches, they read the Bible and then they pray for the troops, and they hope that I've heard prayers at church. That was like I think the last time I went to church, I heard one of the members of the church give a prayer about, they hope that the cause of our soldiers succeed. It's like not enough to pray for them, even though, it's like, what are you praying for them? It's like, but anyway, it's like, that their cause succeed. And I said, okay, that's enough of that. It's like, yeah, so sure. We're the, Roman Empire revisited or whatever you want to call it. We're the usurper, the conqueror, the imperial forces. We're the Darth Vader's stormtrooper troops. That's us. That's this country right here. The marauding hordes, and I think that happened too in Roman times and stuff like that. You hear about the raping and pillaging and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what they do over there. They probably just laid that place to waste and just took a total advantage of all that. And then the high command and all that just looks the other way to all those atrocities and stuff that take place. Same thing happened in Vietnam. The same shit that happens in all these wars. I think it's just an absolute fucking free for all. And yeah, just shooting civilians, killing people and stuff like that. It's the video game come to life. So like, why do you think all these kids, that's all they do all day is spend time in war simulators that the military's given everybody for their kids to play with, and they gladly hand their kids over to them because they believe in the war, and they believe in the flag, and they believe in all this horse shit. So like when they go over there to fight the war, it's like, okay, now everything's green light. You got the green light to do whatever you want, and they're young and they're inexperienced, and then they have their head just pumped full of all this propaganda to dehumanize those people, and then they do all that stuff, and then they come back over here, and then they're just empty shells. They're just they can't ever probably hope to ever adapt again to so-called normal existence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have so many Vietnam. That's a cliche. The Vietnam vet, the homeless Vietnam vet. Why do you think all those guys just chose to live out on the street and stuff like that? They can't ever go back to any kind of normal life after, going into a village and gunning down men, women, children, and old people and stuff, and babies, and just slaughtering them, and then burning the village down. What do you do after? What is there after that? You can't ever go back to a normal existence.
Mm-hmm.
You've already raped your own humanity at that point. You've denied your own humanness. You've taken it and you've thrown it to the garbage for a false idol, America.
Right.
You've already sacrificed yourself on an altar, and you're done. You're just a husk. That's why they just wander around in these parks and shit, and they don't want to associate or anything. They've sold out their humanity. That's what they've done. They never stood up for anything in their life, and they know it, and they're probably just totally guilt-ridden. Yeah, that's sad, but that's true, man. That's why you see stuff like it is. Or some of them come back and then they're cops and they're sadistic and they like it. They can't get enough of it. They want to continue on. There's a certain mentality that wants to continue hurting people and wants to continue dominating people, and that's why I think that there is such a thing as war. So we can, we see this stuff happening where the police state is getting, more and more kind of overt and extreme. Well, that's because, these people are coming back from these wars. These men are coming back, or women too. And they have this wartime mentality, and they've killed, however many people, and they've got the taste of blood, and they've already got that kind of like where that their conscience doesn't bother them about, that kind of thing anymore. And they want to continue that. They're already kind of in that mentality, and they've already bought into it. And yeah, that's how you get these people, and that's how you get that mentality. And then they're gonna, yeah. It's horrible, but
I think that's true. It's not none of it's. I don't think it's fake, man. It's real shit.
Okay, so with that said, I pulled up the first video doing a YouTube search. Here's the video. Take a look at this video. And tell me if you think it's real. This is American soldiers having fun killing civilians in Iraq from 7 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Now, to me, as soon as I saw this video, I'm like, this looks like Boston bombing. It has the same herky-jerky, video game-like look to it. And about 50 seconds in, there's a smoking gun to me that it's not real. But I could be wrong. I want to get your opinion about that. And I'll post this in the notes.
So you're saying that, but you're suggesting that.
Right. I'm not saying, I'm suggesting, yeah.
You're suggesting that this stuff is put onto YouTube, it's completely fabricated, and they want everybody to have the impression that American soldiers are over there killing civilians.
Right.
But
I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right.
What is the truth, though?
I don't know. I'm not there.
What's happening in Iraq?
I have no idea.
What do you think is happening?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I mean, if
based on this being fake, what do you think is really happening over there? If this is fake, what do you think is?
Well,
really
I don't like to get into what ifs because people can easily debunk that. However,
what do you suspect?
I suspect that people are being shown these videos who are in the military and are complete. You know, they probably wear augmented reality type of gear, and they think that they're killing people. They see it with their own eyes, but hopefully I'm right. Maybe they're just not killing people, but they think they are. That's what I'm hoping.
What is the purpose of that?
Well, that's really the question: is what is the purpose of killing people? Why, if I'm ruling the world, I'm trying to wrap my head around the real reason to go to war. We know we know that the plausible reason we go to war is bullshit. There are no terrorists. We both know that, and hopefully the people listening to this know that too. Okay, so so then what's the real reason? Is it a eugenics thing to get rid of people? Isn't there a much easier, less messy way to kill off people? Sure, give them the flu jab. That's a lot easier than paying money to send them over there to go kill people. That's what I'm thinking. I hope I'm right. I hope people really aren't dying.
But if that's the case, what you're saying, so like American troops are going over there, they're just shooting blanks, and then they get like some heads-up display that's like projecting augmented reality into their visor, or how does?
Well, we know we know that they use that, right? Don't they use that?
Well, not as a normal part of the uniform, no.
Well, I mean, I've seen tons of videos with night vision goggles.
Yeah, but you're not wearing those during the day and stuff.
I don't know. I'm not there, and I have no idea, and I could be completely wrong. And
that's what I'm asking. Is there anything at all that corroborates what you're saying? I don't know of anything that would.
Well, let's get back to this particular video. Do you think this particular video that you just watched is real? Because there is a major glitch at the 50-second mark.
Major glitch.
Take a look at the 50-second mark. Look at the power lines.
Okay, first of all, this looks like it wasn't very high resolution to begin with, like it was like cell phone camera footage or something like that. And then on top of that, it looks like it's compressed down to 320. It looks like the lowest possible resolution setting on YouTube.
Right.
Which that doesn't really say anything.
No.
Like, I'm not trying to suggest anything whatsoever with that. There's like a lot of my videos are 320. It's just like it defaults to that or something. Mm-hmm. But still, the fact is, like, you're actually gonna see artifacting in a video this compressed.
Sure.
So I think it's a fool's errand to try to analyze this. Like, this is not something that's fit to analyze. It's not. That's for starters.
Okay.
Like video of that quality and compressed like that, there's no point in analyzing that, because you're going to naturally see artifacting, and then.
But are you going to see missing? Are you going to see missing wires?
You're talking about where the wires look like they're disappearing into the off to the side there, where you don't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't look right, but it does. It's like, here's the thing about that too. It's okay. So if you're suggesting that this is fake video, and this is a good thing to talk about. Okay, examining and analyzing video and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're suggesting that this video is fake, and those wires, like somehow whoever put this fake video together, like rendered the wires up to that point, and then somehow like
blue
their
screen.
finger came.
No. I'm suggesting it could be blue screen or green screen. Isn't that typically what happens when you have blue screen or green? You got things that disappear like that.
If the blue screen, if the wires are part of the inside of an actual studio, and then the sky is projected onto a blue screen behind it.
See, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't
imagine any. I'm just trying to say, what scenario would give you that kind of anomaly?
I don't know. I think it's CGI stuff. Again, this looks just like all the videos we see as recently as 2012 with the Boston bombing. It looks exactly the same. It's this herky-jerky, higher resolution than the video game.
Yeah, but they're coming out with video games, Marcus, that are 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to see herky-jerky. You're not going to.
But we still do.
There's nothing that's going to clue you into it being fake at this point.
I know, but I'm saying they're stepping it down.
Like when you say something like that, that kind of bothers me. I don't even know what you're basing that off of, because that seems like you're just kind of interjecting something into it. Like I'm telling you, the level the fakery can be done, you're not going to get any kind of hint that it's fake. It's so good and so fluid, and there's not going to be any herky-jerky or any tell that it's fake. And there's nothing that I'm going to be convinced that anybody's going to tell me that's going to be something to look forward to tell me.
Oh, sure, but they're not. But
now, could it be fake? If you ask me, like, okay, I'm telling you, Marcus, anything that you see now potentially could be fake.
Sure.
Yes, but based on the conversation that we just had, like the people that I've spoken to personally, you could take it or leave it. I could be just making all that shit up, like you don't, I could just be making it up.
I'm not suggesting it. I'm not suggesting you're making it up. I'm saying
that's a possibility. That's a possibility. But I'm just saying, like, from my experience, and I always push this idea. It's like, if you have a way to corroborate, in other words, find, do your own research, or find a way to maybe like get some other something else that maybe could confirm whether something is true or not, then by all means go off of that. Or if like a relative is telling you something and it's conflicting with what the news media or with what I'm saying or with anybody saying, go with your best and closest source, which would be your relative, or your, something you've observed for yourself. I think that's the best course of action. But like, but as far as like any video that's on YouTube, any of it could be fake at this point, at this state of the game. Yeah. So like if you ask me like, oh, what do you think about this video? I always say, yeah, well, it potentially could be fake, but then you got to ask yourself like, okay, like, if it's fake, then why? Like, you may not know the particular angle that's being, operated on as far as a propaganda purpose, like right off the bat, unless you have like a real clear understanding of where the perpetrators are trying to take you mentally. But like I'm at a loss to figure out like why, they'd put all this like American soldiers killing civilians, and then it could be completely fabricated, and then then you ask yourself, okay, so is like nothing happening in Iraq? Is nothing happening in Iraq or war? Why would you need to fabricate stuff then? Like if you see what I'm saying?
That's part of my challenge is, let's think outside the box here and think of the possibilities on what the real reason is of what's going on there.
But when I talk to a guy, like a young guy, and I could tell by the way he's acting, he's been through some traumatic shit. Mm-hmm. Just by the way they don't act like a normal kind of someone who's inexperienced, like typical knucklehead young dude that's that's not even been through basic training yet. Like their whole demeanor and the way they carry themselves and stuff like that is completely changed. Like where you got somebody that's like that has a lot on their mind when they talk about, oh yeah, I was in Afghanistan. They look like they've been through some shit.
Sure.
You could just tell by the way they carry themselves, by the way they talk and the stuff like that. There's a big contrast between that guy and like the guy that's like an inexperienced guy that's never been into has never really seen anything. He has never really experienced anything in his life. Still in his early 20s or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just saying that what I've observed personally, what I'm thinking is that guy's kind of been into some heavy shit. Mm-hmm. I can just tell. I mean, it's like, and then when I see a video like this, it's like, oh, okay, well, now it makes sense. That's the kind of shit that they're doing over there, and that's why they come back and they're all fucked up. And all they want to do is get drunk.
I'm with you up until right to that last sentence, which is now it makes sense. No, it does. Killing innocent people never made sense to me. That's like saying they hated us because of our freedoms. It makes no sense at all to me.
You don't think American soldiers would fire on civilians like that? You don't think that's possible?
Of course, anything's possible, and it's probable. It's probable. But this idea, Chris, that's all they're doing over there.
I have no problem believing that's a real scenario. If it's not real video, it's depicting a real scenario. I have no problem believing.
But why? But the video, to me, my spidey senses, and if I were to continue looking at it, I might find some other stuff. I mean, they're missing wires in the picture. I don't think that's. I don't think that's possible.
But I mean, do you think that the whole scenario that's being depicted? Do you think that's beyond belief?
You mean what we're doing over there?
Yeah, just okay. These soldiers, they're all geared up. It's basically a gang, mm-hmm. An approved gang, Mm-hmm. They're in body armor. They got all this weaponry. They have like these tanks, armored tanks. They got their Oakley blades. They're looking cool. Mm-hmm. What are they? We're going to sit on our ass all day in this heat. Let's have some fun. Mm-hmm. Let's blow some shit up. Let's kill some people. Mm-hmm. We're not going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. America, fuck yeah, America, fuck it. We're going to do some damage. You think they're going to go over there and just sit on their ass and just like not do anything? No. That would be hard for me to believe. Like, that would be difficult. This right here is not difficult to believe at all. So, like, I don't, I don't know. I certainly don't feel compelled to like analyze the video to try to find out if it's fake or not, because just like I said, you have like 3 strikes against you before you even get started. Like you have to factor in JPEG compression. I mean, like if you're gonna like analyze video, it's probably like pretty good thing to familiarize yourself with it. I mean, it JPEG compression, like the different frames of video, the way it interpolates it is that it won't render everything in the scene because it's trying to conserve bits and bytes, to make the file size smaller. Mm-hmm. So like anything that's staying the same across frames, it's going to preserve that and bring that data in from the previous, frames, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a loose idea how it works. I don't know exactly how it works, but it's something like that. There's some way that you can take like a 3 gigabyte raw file and then compress it down to 32 megabytes. So there's got to be a lot of stuff that takes place there. There's going to be a lot of data that's missing from the raw footage. So you would expect to see anomalies. That's something that you would see in compressed video. So yeah, that's a real thing. There is anomalies in compressed video because it's not rendering everything. I think it does a really good job, but you can attribute a lot of things to JPEG compression. It's a real phenomenon. It's not just it's not just something that is trivial when you're certainly when you're considering trying to examine whether or not it's actual footage or not.
Does it bother you that even till today, anything that seems to be uploaded by the military or by the media is such awful quality? I mean, awful quality. This is awful quality.
But are you asking me, could this be fake? Yeah, it certainly could be. I'm not arguing that it can't be fake. I'm just saying to try to like watch it frame by frame and pick it apart and stuff like that and be able to like find something in any of the frames that's gonna be the giveaway that it's fake, something that you can hang your hat on. I don't know of anything like that. I have no clue what it would be exactly that you would need to look for.
Well, I mean, certainly you can look at shadows. The shadows look pretty good. I was looking at the shadows a little bit.
Yeah, but like what I was trying to explain before, like I guess I have a hard time explaining what I'm trying to think. It's like the shadows in the scenarios like I'm talking about. Let's say you have a simulated environment, mm-hmm. and that's how you crank out fake video. You can crank it out all day.
Mm-hmm.
You just go and film it in your virtual environment.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like concern yourself with, oh, this bush is casting a shadow this way, and then the computer's making it's all done. It's all done through algorithms, through computer programs. So
yeah, but sometimes they mess up. I've seen CGI. I've seen CGI videos that's way off in so many different ways. So when I see that, I'm like, okay, this doesn't look right.
You saying that it messes up or it's going to cast a shadow in the wrong direction?
Yeah.
And it's going to be the right direction in another place? Yeah, send me that, man. I'd really love to see that.
Oh, I have tons of examples of that.
Yeah, I do want to see it because like I said, I'm trying to put together this documentary, and if like that would be great. Yeah.
I mean, if you go to September Clues, it's all over the place where they show that kind of stuff. That's where I would get it from.
Yeah. See, then that's another thing too. It's like there's the question of okay, you could talk about CGI,
mm-hmm.
and that's just a method for faking something that you want to fake. There's all kinds of methods, There's like layering techniques and all that stuff, and I get the impression that maybe like on 9/11 some different stuff was used, So like so you had some like something that was taken for part of the foreground that might have been footage that was taken at a different time than the part of it was in the background. And then you would see something like shadow anomalies and stuff like that. But like some of the stuff like I think that is definitely doable now. And it's good to understand this concept of or it's not a concept, it's like a hobbyist thing that people do now. It's called machinima. It's where they're making movies inside video games.
Mm.
And once you understand the process there, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, they don't go in and tell the computer anything. The computer is just doing it automatically. The work is already done as far as like okay, you know, the shadows are going to be casted in real time on the fly through the algorithm in the computer. And it's, you know, once that's set, once that in there, it's not gonna get it wrong. You know, it's going to be right every time, and it's going to be consistent because it's all already programmed in, and part of the process of doing that is double checking all that to make sure that it's, you know, rendering correctly. But that's with this as advanced as it is now, like you shouldn't. I'm not saying that you would never see any kind of computer glitch, because I'm sure that some of it appears from time to time, but your likelihood of actually catching it would probably be pretty slim. Even though it could happen, you know, like you could see a glitch, but then you have to contend with the fact that a lot of the video you're going to be analyzing is JPEG compressed, so you have to have some high level of expertise to be able to kind of really distinguish between what would be JPEG compression and what would be a computer glitch. But, you know, I do believe there's stuff out there that definitely looks like a computer glitch and that can't be attributed to JPEG compression. Yeah, definitely. But then you have to, like, know, okay, what is this technology that they're using, and how is it rendering these scenes? And do you expect it to be always consistent? And I don't think so. I think there's this different methodology. So, like, I mean, then you would have to know what proprietary software is being used potentially, and does it have a commercial, you know, application that you can compare to? Like, say you find a glitch and they'll say, oh, well, this is the same rendering type of glitch in, you know, Super Video Renderer Pro that you can get, you know, that, you know, such and such uses for this, that, or the other thing, you know, or whatever. And then you could do a comparison and see, okay, here's the glitch, and here it is in this footage that's purported to be from Iraq. Mm-hmm. And say, oh, well, then you got something. Mm-hmm. And then you could do a comparison. But if you say, oh, look, these wires appear to be this appears to be some kind of glitch. Well, you have to rule out every possibility, right? Mm-hmm. With some kind of explanation, right? Mm-hmm. That you know, you have to rule out any conventional kind of explanation, like you know, JPEG artifacting or something like that. Yeah, this stuff gets real technical, man. I mean, naturally, it's going to get real, because you're talking about, you know, all the different potential technologies going to be used, programs and software and stuff like that, and then, you know, green screening and all that other stuff too.
On my YouTube channel, I have a video of my two sons, and it's from about 6 years ago. And of course, I'm not going to show it because it's private. I want to keep their privacy intact. But there's no artifacting. It's not even close to artifacting. It's like, the video looks fantastic. And yet when I see stuff that's put on this year from the military and from the media, or from both.
Did you take it? What did you take it with? Cell phone, or?
I took it with either my iPad or like an $80 camera. You know, the regular camera that has video built into it.
Yeah. And then, you know, just that statement right there, that opens up a whole nother, you know, field of inquiry. Okay, when was the camera purchased? What is the camera's resolution? What is its lens configuration? Mm-hmm. What is its, you know, how does it handle compression internally in the camera? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, is this something that was converted into a foreign film format before it was uploaded to YouTube? Like, you know, and there's the different standards that are used overseas, like NTSB and PAL. Mm-hmm. I think the PAL,
I forget, like PAL, I think is used overseas, and then like there's just all these variables,
Well, I remember exactly what I did. My parents were over. I took the video. I plugged the cord into my keyboard, into the back of my computer, I should say, USB.
Yeah.
And I uploaded it to YouTube. Simple as that.
Yeah, but then I don't think that's a valid statement. Like you could say, I'm looking at this video, and this video looks nothing like the video I uploaded from my iPad. Mm-hmm. That doesn't really say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you have no information about like this camera and what when was I don't even know when this video was supposedly taken.
This one from 7 years ago? I think it was 7 years ago.
So 7 years ago. So yeah. So what it Yes, it's not going to look like your iPad video that's in a more recent.
No, I understand. I'm not saying this video. I'm saying it just seems like any time it comes from the media, the military, showing military action, it's always this herky-jerky, slightly above video game quality, but much lower than iPhone, iPad quality. It just something is very suspicious to me.
This was uploaded in 2007. So like the camera that was used to take this might have been a camera from 2005.
Could have been
so like
could have been from
2003
sure.
or whatever. And then maybe there's like frame dropping, or whatever, like however that particular model of camera back in that particular date that it was released. How it handled video. I mean, I'm not making an argument that this is real. I'm not even doing that. I'm just saying like there's all this stuff. There's all these different factors to consider when you're looking at this stuff. There's all kinds of factors, and like you can interject your opinion like, oh, those wires, that doesn't look right to me. That suggests to me that this is fake video. But like nobody else, you're not going to ever convince anybody with that. You're not going to ever convince not one single person that and to draw a conclusion that that's fake video based on that.
Oh, I don't know
if they know anything about video at all.
Uh-huh. I don't know about that. I'm looking.
Well, maybe you could. Maybe you could convince some people, but I don't think that they. I personally don't think they would have a good basis for being convinced. Myself, I'll just put it that way.
Another thing I noticed, I'm looking at my son's video. Again, this is from 2006, so that's more than 6 or 7 years ago. That's 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the video, and that's another thing I never see from ever see from military videos is the in and out of focus. So I'm looking at my son's right now, and my camera is automatically coming in and out of focus in the 20-second clip I just played, probably 3 or 4 times. Never, ever do I see the autofocus kick in on a military video. Ever. Have you?
Oh, I'm sorry. What's that again? Like, have what kick in?
Like, I'm looking at my son's video right now. It's 20 seconds. It's my 2 sons.
Uh-huh.
And the autofocus of the camera is kicking in and out. You could see it trying to not zoom in, but focus the field of view. It's coming in and out. It's actually done it 5 times in 13 seconds. I'm counting. I never, ever, no exception, have seen a military video that comes in and out of focus like a real camera would, an automatic camera, a handheld camera.
So based on that statement, are you suggesting that every single frame of every video that's put on YouTube that depicts a scene in the military could potentially be fake based on that?
No. I'm saying I'm putting all these things, these factors together. Mm-hmm. I'm putting common sense, logic, how cameras work, cameras that are amazing. I mean, this is from June 20th, 2006, and this is better than the video quality that we see today uploaded by the military today, 9 years later. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but it's like I got through saying, like, you got to make a lot of assumptions. You know, you have to like interject a lot of assumptions into, you know, what you're saying about what you're looking at. You know, it's like, okay, you have to assume, okay, that's, you know, these cameras are comparable. If this one's saying it's from 2007, then it must be, you know, across the board comparable to my camera.
No,
that
of
was
course not.
2007.
I'm just saying.
It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't see how you could do that with any kind of authority.
I'm saying, no, I have no authority. I'm nobody. I'm saying 9 years later, the cameras, the videos that are being uploaded 9 years later look worse than my $80 camera that I uploaded to YouTube. When did YouTube start? Wasn't it soon after? I forget.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wish I could show you the video. I wish I could. I promised my wife I wouldn't. You look at this video, you'd be like, wow. I mean, it's.
I have a BBC story where they literally are using video game footage,
Right.
and telling you that it's real footage
Right.
from like a
Right.
war scene.
Right.
So yeah, dude. I mean, I'm totally with you on this.
So,
It's like,
so let's just.
I'm not arguing against being there.
Let's take that one. Let's take that one. Let's just take that one instance alone, Chris. And it's always been the argument that we've had. If it's real, why are they faking it?
There's if it's real, why are they faking it? That's the thing where like we've talked about this before, and I've said this too. It's like, you know, you and I differ. I think a lot of these, some of these points. Like to me, you sound like you're comfortable with sort of like these absolutist positions. Like you're quick to fall onto these absolutist positions. Like I hear you use terminology like this a lot. You'll say 99.99% of this, like everybody on this and that is they're fake and chills, or like there is not one single frame of real footage at all anywhere that was ever shown to us about 9/11 period and stuff like that. And myself personally, I think that like that is like, those are to me illogical positions. Like you can't make a statement like that. Now it's different. Like if, okay, yeah, I know Marcus, and I know that he has sat and looked at every single solitary frame of every single video that's ever been put up on YouTube since its inception that depicts anything going on in Iraq. Then you have kind of a position to kind of make those types of statements. But like until then, I don't know. Like I can't make those. I don't even try to make any statements like that. To me, that sounds like kind of like you're getting in kind of the realm of like a dogma. Like you're saying like you start to make statements that sound like, you know, they're just concrete absolutist type statements. And that's like, I don't. Like you know, I hope you. I don't do that. Like I don't feel right about doing that. I don't think that's like logical. You know, and that's all I'm saying.
So should I lower my percentage?
No, I just wouldn't. I would stay away from that kind of that kind of verbiage. You know, where it. I don't know if that's what you're suggesting, you know, like you're, but it sounds like you're making like a statement of just, you know, certainty and you know, it's an absolute fact that this is that, and then it's like I don't know how where you can make a statement like that.
Do you think there's any footage of 9/11 that you've seen that's real?
What I'll say about that is I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible? Yes,
sure.
It is possible that there is some real footage that is stuck in there somewhere. Maybe of people standing around with their thumb up their butt looking at the thing. Could that be real? Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. Like it's like I don't have any need to feel compelled to believe that, anytime you see anything that's associated with 9/11, it must absolutely 100% be fake, and you must draw that conclusion that it's fake, because I can't say that for certainty. Now I can say it is my opinion that anytime you look at something on Camera Planet or all those hundreds of hours of footage and stuff like that, Could it be fake? I say absolutely yes. And I have a pretty good idea. I believe how it is technically possible to fake that much footage and to make it look totally spot on real. And that has a lot of explanatory power when you start to like question like, oh, well, how does this one guy own all this footage and is able to archive it on Camera Planet and all this other stuff? And then why is it like there's all these videos put on the internet that have no name attributed to them and no journalist or anything and nothing like that, and you can't find the source of the video? That explains that too. It explains a lot. It has a lot of explanatory power. But it doesn't allow me to make absolute statements like there is not one single frame of real video footage from 9/11. No. I don't even have no use for that. I
want to clarify that. I've never said what you just said. I said that I've seen. And
that you've seen, but I don't know that any of the footage that I've looked at wasn't real. That's the thing about it. It is my like opinion and my thoughts that it's probably not real. I don't have any reason to believe that any of it is real. I mean, there's nothing that would make me compelled to like take the position that I would have to accept some of it as being real, because I know that I could be comfortable in the position that all of it is fake, potentially. But what I can't do is make a statement that said there is not one single frame of real footage that was that's out there from 9/11 that's real, or even make a statement that says there's not one single frame of footage that I've looked at personally that can't potentially be real, because I don't know.
Well, sure, anything's possible.
If it looks photorealistic and it's rendered photorealistically, that's the thing about it. It's like you can't tell. There's no way to tell. There's nothing that's going to clue you in. Nothing that can't be explained away through some other, video compression or whatever lens they had, potentially could have had on the camera, what lightning could, all kinds of different factors. Lens distortion, which is a real thing, by the way. Like if you take footage with a telephoto lens, it can give you some real spatial anomalies, like things looking like they're much closer together than they actually are in real three-dimensional space. That's a real thing. It's optical distortion and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm aware of that and stuff like that. But where I have a problem is like even on, I'm not bashing Clues Forum, but I've noticed a lot of stuff that's out there where they're examining photos and stuff like that, and they're making these definitive, absolute statements about it being fake, and it's like something that can be pretty easily explained by those optical distortions and stuff.
I agree.
You have to consider that stuff if you want to be taken seriously as being able to analyze this stuff. It's like. And but I'm not a stickler for that. I mean, if somebody's like analyzing video, I mean, I think it is a good idea to familiarize yourself with how those images get on your news and what journalists do, like are purported to do. Cameras and photography and camera lenses and the kind of effects that they create and the kind of distortions of perception that they create with not even trying to fool anybody. You know what I mean? It's like all kinds of stuff that has got to be taken into consideration. That's why I think that a lot of people have a hard time with believing a lot of this stuff that we talk about, because there's so much stuff out there that's kind of where maybe intentionally or not, where people have just kind of jumped to conclusions. And I've done it myself. Where I've taken videos down off YouTube that were just, me jumping to conclusions, and I didn't really think it through like I should have. And then somebody's come along and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's not what you're saying it is. It's this, and it's because
the way the towers are positioned. It makes it look like, and it's like, okay, you know, I look at it, and then I'm looking at what they're saying, and I take it into consideration. And I said, you know what, that person is right, and I take the video down. And it's like that happens. So,
Sure.
you know, but yeah, I'm just trying to, you know, talk about the stuff in a way that, you know, I think makes sense, you know, at least to me. And yeah, I don't like, for myself, I can't make any kind of definitive statements like on whether a particular piece of footage is fake or not, unless there's something that jumps out as like a glitch or something that is really a noticeable, like something that appears to be like something that would represent a computer glitch. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot of that out there as far as I can tell. But there's enough other stuff though that you can look at that clues you into, like, you know, especially on 9/11, that's stuff being fake, you know. But there, you know, how many, like we talk about, how many frames do you need to examine that you could come to the conclusion that it, with a high degree of certainty, is fake? Like the plane going into the tower, for instance, where the building heels up around the wing. Now, is somebody could say, well, that's JPEG compression,
Right.
but it now could it be? I'm not 100% sure, but what I am highly confident myself is that plane is not going to go in that building like that with no resistance like that. And the JPEG compression is probably doesn't account for the building closing in around it like that, because the entire thing looks phony, and that's just another corroborating piece of evidence that tells you it's fake. And the building shuts up around the wing as it penetrates the building is, to me, pretty smoking gun. And it's not even suggestive of a JPEG artifacting, even though it potentially could be, but I don't think so, because I'm pretty familiar with what the JPEG artifacting stuff looks like, and that is not what it looks like at all. Now, somebody could come along and say, oh, here's an example of something very similar, and it's JPEG artifacting where something is, you know, like football players running out of the field and they're busting through the paper, and like, okay, here's a guy who's half in and half out of the paper, and you don't see any hole in the paper, and it's like it's where JPEG artifacting. You should be easy enough to find all kinds of examples of that out there, because all the footage is out there, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything close to resembling that I'm aware of. So until then, that frame stands as, you know, to me, a pretty good smoking gun. And then it's also in the context of, you know, the plane going into the tower with no resistance, and then there's the other footage of it coming out the other side, what it appears to look like it's coming out the other side, with the nose cone intact. You know, just all these, you know, if you want to examine individual frames, you have all these individual frames that are showing you something that cannot possibly be reflective of physical reality. And that, you know how many frames of footage that I need to discount all of it? One. That's it. That's what I keep trying to get across. You need one frame of footage, and that one frame of footage not only discounts all the footage on 9/11, at least holds it up to doubt. You can't no longer give it any of it the benefit of the doubt. But to me, all this military footage we're looking at on YouTube, everything that's come out of the news media, everything from this point forward is suspect. And I personally conclude it to be fake until I find something that corroborates it. You know, other evidence that's out there that maybe it substantiates the outside of the context of what is presented, and then I make consideration for it. Just like the Iraq stuff, it's like, based on my personal experience and my conversations with people and people that I know, and like my best friend dad died, and then
my brother-in-law, and then his dad is all fucked up. His dad is all fucked up from Iraq. He's been on so many meds now, his kidneys are blown out. He's probably got 3 more months to live, and all he wants to do is shut himself into a room and play Call of Duty. Oddly enough, he's spun in the head. He's shell shocked. He's screwed up.
Right.
It's like, what does that to people? Now, this piece of footage where they're just, cackling with glee and shooting just civilians for no apparent reason, that's a pretty good explanation to me. Like, what makes somebody just completely fucked up and withdrawn? That makes that you go back and you come back and you're a shell of a human being that wants to just, all they want to do is shut themselves up into a dark room and play video games all the time and not engage with the world around them. What makes the guy want to come back and then all he can think about doing is getting away from reality by being just completely shit-faced drunk? What does that to people? What does that to my brother-in-law where he's on, 10 different medications and he can't work and he's on disability and he's all, just doesn't act at all like he used to act before he did his tour duty and all that shit. What does that to people? Now, you could say maybe they got a vaccine or something like that but that's not the kind of behavior I don't think you would expect to see from a chemical thing. It's more like an emotional, really profound emotional disturbance kind of thing.
Less than 30 minutes after 9/11, I saw hundreds of people have that shell shock look on their face too, standing in line to give blood at the Red Cross down the street. And that was from a fake video that was on TV for less than 30 minutes.
So out of all those people, how many are still fucked up to this day that can't even function in society, that are just recluses?
As Donald Rumsfeld would say, it's an unknowable. I have no idea.
No, I was just asking you, how many do you know personally?
Oh, I don't live there anymore, so I don't know.
You don't know about anybody that has shell shock from 9/11 to this day?
No, I don't know anyone.
That's incapacitated? I'm talking about people that are incapacitated. I'm not talking about people who are shocked, disturbed by the fake footage. I'm talking about people who are...
I know no one.
Societal recluses. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. People have come back from Iraq who now are,
But weren't they there for at least? They were there for at least 6 months, right?
I don't know exactly how long they were there.
Isn't like a tour duty usually 6 months, a year? Sometimes they're there 2-3 tours of duties in a row, right?
Yeah, I've heard now they do 3, 4, 5. They do more tours of duty than any other previous war. So it's like this is a major difference between this war and previous wars. It's like the number of deployments that they'll do in war zones is really, really high.
So,
like they said, the average person can only handle maybe like 3 at the most, but they're doing like 5, 6 tours. Yeah.
So getting back to your question, and again, I have no idea what goes on there. If 100 people watched the 9/11 movie every single day for 3 tours of duties worth of time, I wonder how they would be too. I know when I used to watch it live, on NBC like year after year. I would get even Chris, when the second plane hit, the first thing, I don't think I've ever revealed this. The first thing I said to myself was, that was remote controlled. That plane was remote controlled in.
Yeah, but the way you're sounding here, Marcus, you're sounding like you're suggesting that people are being put into like a simulator. Nothing bad is really happening, but they think something awful and terrible has happened to the point where they're incapacitated emotionally, and then they send them back over here. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what you're suggesting?
It's an out of the box thought. Just like I said that maybe they fly, we've talked about this, they fly to the exact model that's in the California desert that looks like Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, do I think that that's what's happening? No. But it's interesting that is put out there, that the media has put out there, that there is an exact duplicate set that's in the California desert that looks like Afghanistan. And then I interviewed that Al-Qaeda number 4 guy.
Yeah.
And he confirmed that. There's actually
but it looks like a set though. It doesn't look like a town. Based on the footage,
right.
that if you're talking about the same footage that I've seen.
No, the guy I interviewed, he said it looked like a town. Yeah. It wasn't a set. It looked like a town.
Yeah. But based on the footage that I've seen, it looks like a set.
Right. I agree.
It doesn't look like anything that would convince anybody that they're an actual town.
Sure. So
now I could see it being used for training purposes, but I can't see that being used to fool anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like what you told me is just anecdotal, and that could or could not be true. I have no idea because I don't even know who you're talking about. So.
Oh, you mean the Al-Qaeda number 4 guy? You don't know? When you say you don't know what I'm talking about, what do you mean?
You're telling me you spoke to somebody who told you that they were in a simulation and it looked identical to a real town? Is that what you?
No, I interviewed a guy who played Al-Qaeda guy number 4. I forget how long ago, maybe 7 years ago. In fact, I still communicate with him. And he told me exactly how the script works, what you say, how much you get paid, how you get free lunch, how you meet a director. Mm-hmm. He laid it all out. Now, maybe he's completely lying to me. He sounded legit, but it's possible he lied to me. And then he told me there's a town, just, I think, south of Hollywood that looks exactly like Iraq.
He's been to Iraq.
No. I see what you're saying. I don't know. Yeah. I think he. Well, I know he's been in Europe. I don't know. I don't remember.
But there's a town that's done up to look like it's a Middle Eastern
right.
Type town. Where he didn't
south
say
of Hollywood.
Whereabouts it was.
South of Hollywood somewhere, I think.
South of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
In the desert
area?
in
California.
California. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
He said you would go would go through that town and you would think that you were in Iraq, basically.
Well, did they say that there's? He just suggested anything? There's any kind of war?
No, I think he brought that up, saying that the actors. He was from Florida when he got called to do this. So I'm not remembering. It's getting late, and I'm not remembering exactly what he says. And I don't want to say something that he didn't say. So I don't remember. But it's just odd. A lot of this stuff is really odd to me, and it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I put these ideas out there. Sometimes these ideas are true. We find out later that the ideas that we talk about actually are true. And who knows, maybe what is being reported back to you from the people you know is absolutely 100% the truth. I'm not debating that. All I'm saying is let's open our minds here and let's, why, again, if people rule the world and it's a manufactured reality, what would be the reason? Mm-hmm. I would love to know. Why would they have us fighting against each other? What's the real reason behind that? That's really what I wanted to talk about, not whether the video was fake or not. What's the real reason? Is it eugenics? Is it to kill us off? Is it, is it to give us ideas that, I don't know. That's all.
Well, it's happening right now. I mean, people are killing each other in this country right now. I mean, as we had our conversation, there's probably no telling how many old people in nursing homes that were euthanized.
Absolutely.
As we
agree 100%.
So yep. By so-called medical professionals under sterile conditions, under everything being up and up, of course legal and everything, but committing murder, probably right down the street here at this hospital. That's right down the road.
And here. I'm right down the road from a nursing home too. And Chris, that makes useless eaters, that makes total sense to me that they would do that. Completely,
Yeah.
I get that. But why would they take?
Yeah.
Why would they take someone who's 21 years old and kill them off? What would be the reason for that?
Why would they kill someone 21 years old? So they don't have families and they don't have children, and that serves the depopulation agenda. I don't see why they wouldn't. And that's been part of civilization since there's been civilization, is the whole war thing. Going to war. Yeah, I talked about that too. And see, that talked about this stuff. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I do. Yeah, I've talked to an awful lot of people that were in Vietnam and in Iraq, and my dad was in Vietnam. My friend's dad didn't come back from Vietnam, and just like my brother was in the Air Force. He was going to be sent to Iraq to retrieve all the shit that's over there. Golly, man, I know a lot of people that I've met that I don't know. An awful lot of people that I've just met and talked to that have been over there too. Yeah. So like the idea of them, like somebody being put through a sort of a simulation where nothing really actually happened and took place, and then that idea doesn't fit with anything at all that I've ever seen or ran across, or anything that I could put that in any kind of a context at all that would make any kind of sense to me. Mm-hmm. I'll just put it that way. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't jive with anything that I've been told about anything over there or what happened over there. It doesn't. Yeah. I mean. Yeah, there's nothing else. There's nothing else to go with that. You know what I mean? There's nothing else to, other than that video of the simulated town that doesn't even look like a town. That's the only thing that I would see that would kind of be suggestive of something like that. But that's not very good proof to me, because it doesn't even look like a town. It looks like what they said it was, some place to train. But there's all kinds of shit like that all over the place. For training. There's like towns. Did you see that one that was like an American town with like American looking churches and everything that they go in and train? That's pretty tripped out.
I just always think about, which was a really big aha moment for me, the military delivering empty boxes as remains back home, and they admitted that. That really just. Because before knowing that, I don't think I would have issued that challenge I just made an hour ago.
Yeah.
But when you hear that, it really opens up my mind to question really everything. They admit that they ship empty boxes back as real people. I mean, that's about as low as it can get.
Yeah, and then they do the simulated, or they do the ceremony and all that for them. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But I don't like I could see that happening and stuff like that. But I don't know how like you would conclude from that war is not real. War is a simulation, and there's no carnage or anything.
But again, if people died, why not put their remains in the box and ship it home? I don't get that.
Well, I mean, if you, like in the story, is talking about, you have, what do they call them? MIA, missing in action. Right? That like in Vietnam, there's all these people that didn't come back.
Right.
They didn't find a body. Well, that is consistent with the idea that there's a war actually taking place. You would expect that. You don't expect everybody's body to be recovered.
And then just say that. Just say it's MIA.
Somebody might.
Right?
Well, they do say that. They say that there's a whole lot of people that have been classified as MIA, just missing in action. They could have been killed. They may still be alive. It's just an unknown, right? Because you don't have any body that's like they handle murder cases stuff. If like I think there's some variation of this, but if they generally if somebody's missing or something like that, you can't. There's no. Well, they don't do this as far as illegal. They don't legally conclude that you're dead unless they have a body. Like if you disappear, that's that's one thing. And then if you stay disappeared, you may not be dead. You're just a missing person. Same thing like if you go to war and don't come back, you're just a missing person. It doesn't mean you're dead.
Right.
There's probably maybe a high likelihood that you died. But maybe your body, maybe you got blown up by a mortar shell, and then you got blown to bits, and then you were fish food in the river. Your body, they ain't never gonna find your body. All kinds of stuff like that you would expect to happen in an actual war. It's all kinds of things. A helicopter crash or whatever, the body is completely consumed in fire, or just about completely consumed, or it gets off in the jungle somewhere where it never gets retrieved, or it's all kinds of different scenarios where a body won't be retrieved. They had tunnel systems. That's what we're told in Vietnam. So man, probably that's all kinds of potential to have a missing body. So yeah, MIAs, of course, that's consistent with a real war. So so you got all these people that they have a relative that went into Vietnam, never came back, and then they never got closure. Like, okay, did they die? Are they still alive? I think there's some people that were missing and that have turned up alive. A few, I don't know how many, but yeah, there may be reasons for that. Maybe they didn't want to come back, and then maybe they decided later we'll come back, and then we found them and they're alive, and they were over there living in some foreign country, and then so yeah, all kinds of stuff happens, but yeah, so doing them telling them, oh yeah, we found the remains, and giving those people closure, but that was all a lie. That tells you how duplicitous the military is,
right.
And how But that's not suggestive of the whole war and all the casualties being fake.
I'm not saying they're all fake at all.
I wouldn't even suggest that. I don't even think that's even remotely suggestive of that. I don't think that even has any kind of that puts me in that sort of direction at all. That doesn't do it for me. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, I definitely wouldn't draw that conclusion from that. Like all the war casualties and the missing people and stuff like that are actually never existed.
No.
To begin with, or they're still.
If you remember, I started off by saying with the electrocutions in the shower and the friendly fire, I know people come back dead, no doubt. My on my wife's side of the family, guy didn't come back from Vietnam. I'm relatively sure he didn't come back from Vietnam, and I'm relatively sure almost everyone who is claimed to have died in the wars have died. My question is, who did the killing? Friendly fire means we killed our own. Was that on purpose? Electrocutions in the shower means faulty electric? Or did someone order a hit because the guy in the shower was someone like you or me who questioned everything? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but this is a different conversation than when we were talking about. You were talking about simulated towns and augmented reality.
Well, that's what I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. That's all. The challenge. I don't know.
That guy, yeah. I don't.
Something to think. It's something to chew on. That's all. I'm not looking to offend anyone. I'm not looking to.
Yeah, I've already chewed on that one, and like it ain't got no flavor for me, man.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't. I spit that one out a long time ago. Because it's dead people die, and that's the fact. People get blown up, they get chopped to bits, they get raped and set on fire, and that shit fucking happens, dude. And I've seen plenty of shit. I've had a gun put in my face.
I probably came pretty damn close to being shot in the fucking face by a fucking overzealous security guard one time. And yeah, shit gets real, man. And then, you know, before you know it, somebody's shot, somebody's dead, and, you know, they're never coming back to this world. You know, that shit fucking happens, dude. I mean, and this life and existence is full of death and full of mayhem. You know, but you know, it may not be happening in your town right now, but it's happening somewhere. And I mean, I don't have any reason to doubt it. And yeah, so you know, that doesn't mean 9/11 happened the way they say it did. It doesn't mean the Boston bombing was real. It doesn't mean anybody died at Sandy Hook. But you know, the whole thing about like, you know, all war casualties those numbers are definitely skewed. I'm pretty certain of that. Like, you know, just about everything they tell you about is going to be a skewed or misrepresentation. And I've often suggested that too. Maybe even the majority of casualties end up from friendly fire.
Right.
And they even say too, there's like a disproportionately high amount of casualties of war and stuff that are friendly fire. And then like everything else too, it's like you find out that it's underreported. So like the real numbers are probably much higher. And then you're getting up into numbers where like, wow, is it even possible that maybe the majority of all the casualties are friendly fire? And I've even suggested that or brought that up. And you know, could it be like there's not enough eager participants on the opposite side, and they have to, in order to perpetuate the war, they have to pit the troops against each other, and they have no idea who they're shooting at. They just out there and they're told to shoot, and they fucking shoot. That's all they know. They're just following orders, right?
Right.
And insurgent, whatever, you know, they can make the guys dress up like insurgents and say, oh, they're doing it for this, that, and the reason. They don't question anything. They just do it. And they're shooting at their own troops and they don't even know it. You know, stuff like that, yeah. And definitely, yeah, I'm open to those possibilities, but like, you know, the idea that, you know, war is a simulation and then there's no carnage and it's all,
Chris, I never said no. I'm not making an absolute statement. I'm putting out a thought, which I just wrote back.
I was just basing that off of what you said. Like you say, if there's anything real going on, then why fake any of it? I thought you said that.
No, I said, why would you, if someone died, why would you fake it? That was one thing, and then the other thing is, if it's really happening over there, why would you set up a fake video on YouTube of it?
Yeah, and I take that to mean there's nothing real to film.
No, that's where the slippery slope argument.
You got to come up with fake. You got to come up with fake footage because there's nothing over there that's really going on that's film worthy. So that's why you have to hoax it. That's what I took away from that statement.
I'm not doing the slippery slope argument on that one. Nope. I just have questions, and it's just odd. It's incredibly odd. One last thing, and then we're coming up on 4 hours. You want to guess how many people have died since 2001 in the war in Afghanistan? U.S. casualties.
What the official?
Yes. Wikipedia.
Count
yes.
Golly, I remember. This was been years ago. They said it was like nearing 4,000. 2,238. In just Iraq?
No, Afghanistan. Since 2001.
Oh, just Afghanistan.
So that's 13 years. 13 years of war.
2,000 troops?
2,238.
In Afghanistan, yeah.
Does that sound about right?
That's the official count. Right? Yeah. Which is like, is that skewed low? Is it skewed high?
Right.
I think it's maybe even skewed high.
I agree.
Maybe even because, and I base this on this. I don't think there are that many willing participants to go up against the biggest army that ever existed on the planet with the most sophisticated warfare technology that's ever existed. I don't think there's a bunch of eager warriors ready to go up against that. And then the ones that do aren't going to be able to stick it out very long. You know, if they're talking about these like relatively primitive, you know, with AK-47s and stuff. Yeah, so to me, that's telling me that they have to concoct a lot of it, and because they need to perpetuate it, because I think the occupation is, you know, one of the main goals, you know, and you know, like I was talking about before, like one of the understated goals is to disseminate like you know, rap music and heavy metal music and Hollywood films and all that stuff that the soldiers bring over there and pass out to the teenagers and stuff, young kids.
Right.
I think that's one of the primary objectives. That's probably one of the most important things that they're doing over there right now, as far as a war objective. It's called weaponized culture. The culture here is weaponized, but they make sure they occupy it long enough to make sure that gets thoroughly disseminated into their culture. And so yeah, I tend to think that to me, which is good news to me, it's like that the casualties, I think, if I believe anything about it, that the casualties would be based on what I was just saying, that they would be over exaggerated, maybe, if anything, because I can't think of like how there would be that many of them dead, unless it's all like you're talking about friendly fire,
right?
You know, because otherwise I can't see the so-called insurgent, these goat herders and stuff, being able to put up a long sustained a fight like that, and until they got their supplies cut off, you know, because it seemed like it'd be like one of the, and eventually you run out of supplies, you know, bullets at some point, because it's just a logistical thing. You got to get bullets from a factory at some point,
right?
And you have to put that factory somewhere, unless it's in a cave that nobody can find, which is hard to believe. You know, an operable bullet factory like where John works, you know, you can't sustain a long-term projected war that goes on for, you know, years and years. Just think about it. Do the math. You're gonna run out of bullets pretty quick. You know, unless the American side is, which is definitely a possibility too, is supplying them with all their warfighting material to keep the whole thing going. And yeah. But I don't think any of those kind of interpretations lend themselves to like super high casualty rates or anything. There's really not that big a percentage of all the people in the Army that are battle rates. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think out of all the people that are in the Army or in the armed forces, there's only like I was reading this somewhere, there's only like a fairly small percentage that would actually be in a rate that would go into battle. So, I mean, yeah, there's all that stuff too. So, yeah, I think too, like, bad stuff happens. They're probably, I'm not suggesting that it's continuous and ongoing and never-ending rape, robbing, and pillaging, because I think it's spotty and it's here and there, and it's like they participate in it, and then, you know, but you know, and a lot of horrible stuff has happened. Is my guess, and then you know, but it has its, you know, even that stuff has its, you know, limits on how far extended and how long it goes on, you know. I guess kind of unlike this call. What are we on? Almost 5 hours right now.
We're come up to 4.
Yeah.
And I got to roll because I got to make breakfast for lunch for, I don't even know what it's called, lunch for my children.
Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good to, I guess, knock that stuff around. You know, those ideas. You know, yeah.
And the reason I put that out there is because hopefully someone listening to this can let us know. For me personally, I want to know personally, you know, what's the scoop? What's the real deal?
Yeah, I would like to hear from somebody that has some experience over there. But then, yeah, that'd be interesting. See what they say.
Wouldn't that be something if they're like, you know, you might be onto something. We have to wear these special goggles during the day, and you know, to simulate warfare, and blah 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 blah, and that would be quite something. That'd be really something, actually.
Oh yeah, I know there's such a thing as augmented reality and stuff like that, and yeah, even what you're saying, I think is technologically, I think would be doable to an extent, but like if you were to anything that's involving anything close quarters, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could augment and stick somebody. You know, if you're wearing the goggles and you never take them off, and you're always wearing them, and they're inserting imagery into it, and then it has to be situated so that it can do it seamlessly into your field of vision without even you realizing it, and then you know, you get a confirmed kill or anything, just like in a video game, but you're not really shooting somebody, you're shooting an augmented reality inserted insurgent. And then yeah, I mean that's possible to an extent, I think. But like doing that and simulating it where you're getting kind of close quarters thing, I don't know.
I have one more.
That seems really outlandish.
I have one more link to post. I'll read it real quick and then I'm gonna run.
All right.
The title of this article, which just came out, in fact, secretive military tech company announces augmented reality glasses for consumers. Mm-hmm. For the past 6 years, low-key Ostrich Design Group has been building heavy-duty smart glasses for the military. What? For the past 6 years, low-key Ostrich Design Group has been building heavy-duty smart glasses for the military. But after seeing the kind of attention heaped onto gadgets like Google Glass, the small San Francisco-based company is looking towards the consumer market and thinks it has something better to offer to the world. For less than $1,000, ODG plans on releasing a more consumer-friendly version of its glasses in 2015. So
yeah, all this stuff comes out of the military.
But they've been working with the military for six years on this.
Oh yeah, probably been around longer than that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, secretive military tech. Yeah.
All right, dude. I'm losing it.
Yeah, me too. That was a good talk.
Yes. Do it again.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. Good. Sounds good.
All right, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Have a great night.
You too.
I will.
Good night.
Night.